this video we are going to be learning how to use SlimPHP.com PHP framework to build a CRUD API. Just like Laravel, we have Falcon and a lot of MVC frameworks, but SlimPHP is very minimalistic and very simple and understandable that you can use it to build your own router. I really love the technology and it literally makes me happy. So I'm going to be teaching you how to use it to create a CRUD request. So for you not to get confused, you might be wondering what a CRUD request means. So it means create, read, update and delete. So let's search for CRUD requests over here. So as you can see, the first thing we saw in Wikipedia is CRUD requests are the 4 basic functions of persistent storage. We have the create, read, update and delete. So I will not be talking much on this. So let's get started. What I'm going to do now is to go back to the slimframework.com. Actually, Slim framework works like API, just like I said. As you can see, we are just getting a direct request. We are not browsing much or doing much. So I'm just going to show you how we can create a CRUD request. So back to it. So what I'm going to do, version 4 is released, quite alright, but we are not going to be working with version 4. I would suggest that you start with version 3. Maybe you can upgrade and you can learn how to use it perfectly. So make sure you have SAM downloaded. So you can download SAM for your operating system and get it installed. Then you can download Postman. These are the things that we will need. Yes, that's it for now, since we are not dealing with any HTML or CSS. So I'm gonna close it down. So once you download SAMP and install it, just come over to your environment variables over here. Click on environment variable, then add come over to system variables, then click on the path, edit, then make sure you add this too. So let me show you where it's coming from. So as you can see, it's coming from my local disk C, and I have my PHP folder and also my SQL bin folder over here. So if you don't do this, you can't really have your link to work like this. You can't really have your link to work like this. So this is just a foresight of what we'll be building, but there's nothing there, there's no functionality on it. So I'm gonna get rid of that so that we can start afresh. So I'm gonna close all this back, then close this. This is the one I was building, so I'm gonna delete it because we're gonna be starting afresh. So you can head over to Google and download Git Bash. So I'm going to switch to my desktop because that's where my work folder is. So when I list it, you are going to see the list of what I'm building. So I can remove the Slim CRUD I built. This can be removed. Device busy, maybe it's busy or something like that. I think it's busy over here. Yeah. So I'm going to come back and get it out. Yeah. So when we clear this and list, we can't find it anymore. So it depends on your choice. You can use any command line prompt you desire. This is Commander and this is Git Bash. So just make sure you have one of those. So the first thing we are going to do is to go over to slimframework.com, and this is the Slim version 3 documentation. So you're going to click on installation and make sure you have Composer. Yes, come over here to Google or get Composer /download. Then you can download for your Windows OS, or you can programmatically do it for your MacBook or Ubuntu OS. So all I'm going to need is this, how to install Slim. We recommend that you install Composer, then navigate to the root of your project, then you execute it. So I'm going to paste this. I think I'm going to make it directly first. Slim, yeah. So I'll switch to Slim. So I'm going to type composer require Slim. So we are going to be working with the version 3. Sometimes I hardly find my caret sign. Well, never mind. So we wait for this to finish. So if you are familiar with Laravel, Laravel works similar to Slim framework, but just that Laravel have a bunch of things and it really needs someone in advance to use it. But Slim framework exposes you to learning a lot of things by yourself. You don't really need to use Laravel. So let's check whether it's done. So as you can see, it's done. So I'm gonna clear this. So what I'm gonna do now is to check back to our project folder, refresh, and as you can see, we have our Slim folder over here. So because of the composer, we have it inside our vendor over here, and as you can see the Slim. So we can create an index.php file now. So make sure you did add your PHP to the environmental variable setting. If not, this is not gonna work for you. It's not gonna work for you. I'm serious. So you can come over here, go to first application. Let's open that on a new tab. This is a project structure. Depending on your choice, you can decide to put it on a project structure like this, or you can decide to have your own name way of creating your project. So that's it. So I'm gonna copy this, create the application, come over here and paste it down. So I don't like working with this like this, so I think what I'm gonna do is to get rid of one, then I'm gonna put on the directory, then concatenate that, and that solves it. So we have a route of hello, your name, or any parameters that you put there in the link. So it's an attribute actually, so it can be attribute or whatever you want to call it, but it's always called an attribute. So as you can see here, we got it through the arguments, but there's a simpler way we can also do this. I'm going to show you, never mind. So we are actually making a GET request. Remember that when you are browsing to any website, you're actually making a GET request to get back what the website have to give you as a response. So over here we have the response, then it gets the body, then prints out this. If you're familiar with Node.js and Express.js, they work similar. So over here we can say localhost. Actually, sorry, we have not yet started the server. So yeah, so I'm gonna do PHP server localhost. So you can start it with any IP you want. So I'm gonna click here. As you can see, it's giving me page not found, meaning it's loading. So I can say hello Samuel. So as you can see, everything just works really perfectly. One more last thing we need to do is to create a file called htaccess folder. Sorry, file, not a folder. So in the htaccess file, we are going to be giving it some rely conditions to make sure that every single thing or every single request must hit the index.php file before it moves on. So we have, I think I made a mistake over here. Yeah. Then we have percentage. Please, sorry, I need to put on the light. Where I'm staying right now is really dark, so I'm back. Light is working, so let's get back. So target the file name, then it's supposed to be small caps. It can also be capital caps. I think I'm making a mistake over here. Right conditions, then this is F the file, then we give it a right rule of index. Yeah, target the index file, then that's it. So our application should still work correctly. So over here, as you can see, everything works fine. So I'm going to close that. So the next thing I'm going to do is to create my own project folder method. It depends on your own choice, like I said. So I'm going to create a folder called src. So in my src folder, I'm going to create a folder again called config then in the config I can have my db class. So in my db class is where I'll be connecting to the database. But before we do that, we have to create our table. So make sure that your SAMP is working. As you can see, my own SAMP is working here. You can start it when you are done installing and opening it. So over here we can head over to localhost/phpMyAdmin. So I really did create a table before when I was building this. So if you check in my table, you are going to see a database called SlimCrod. Then we have a table called users. So in the users, we have some inputs I did put here, which are pretty cool. So I'm going to show you how we can create all these tables. So I think I need to get rid of this. We are still going to work with this SlimCrod table. So I'm gonna drop this. So over here I'm gonna create a table called users once more, then give it 8 columns. So we have the first one is usually an ID. We have the first name. So we have the last name. We have the phone, right? Yes. I think after the phone we have the email address, city and state. Yeah. So this one is usually the primary key, and it also increments so that each of these will have a different IDs. So we have variable character. Depending on your choice, you can put your limit or length. So I'm just gonna make each one of them to 50 so that we can flow fast. So once I'm done, I'll click on save, and as you can see, we have our table back. So I'm now gonna create a database class in order to make use of our database and our table in the database. So I'm gonna create a public function called connect. What's the problem? Before we do that, I think I need to create a class db. So let me bring this down. So the error should be out. So inside there we have the host. Host can be whatsoever, not whatsoever, usually localhost, or you can use the numbers. We have the user, we have the password. Default user for SAMP is usually root, so you can decide to set your own or configure your own depending on how you want it. You can use the Google search, make some research and set it up. So my password is nothing, it's just empty. So the DB name is SlimCrod, if you can remember. Then after this, we are going to connect to DB, to the database proper, using PHP wrapper, PHP PDO wrapper. So I'm gonna call this PDO, then new PDO. So in the PDO we have some things that go in. We have the MySQL. This is our host driver. Then we have the DB name. Don't make the mistake of putting equal sign. So once that is done, you can now close it. Then we can now put the user and the password. So I think I made a mistake over here. This is DB name. So we can now set our error mode and also set the way we want our connection to be fetching data for us, either associatively or objectively. So over here can set the attributes of PDO. We have attributes error mode. We have a lot of attributes in PDO, so you can just take this for now. Then we can put the error mode exception. Then we give it an attribute of getting our values, or fetching from the tables. So we give the default fetch mode of PDO fetch as such. Yeah, you can try to use fetch objects, but fetch as such is better, so that when you can maybe make your query from there, you can now include fetch as such. So I'm going to save this. So last thing is to return the PDO. So for us to use our database class, so we have to bring it in over here. So I'm gonna get rid of all this, go into the src folder, config, then db.php. So let's try to see whether our app will crash. As you can see, our app still runs very fine. So right now we are going to be making some routes. Now the routes are what we are gonna be facing, and also in the routes we are gonna be fetching some data from our database. So I'm gonna clear this and make this a home page route. So over here, I'm going to remove this. Then sorry, here I'll just write, get this, hello, welcome to home page. I usually spell things wrong sometimes, so let's now down here we are going to be including our routes. But first we need to make a route folder inside the src folder. So routes, then the routes will be having users routes. So the users route, likewise, we have these two namespaces over here in order for us to use Slim framework inside it. So I'm gonna paste that and format that properly. So, and bring this also, but I'm not gonna run the app because down here we are already running the app, so we don't need to run it again. So now the work starts. The first thing we are gonna do is to get all the users. So how are we gonna get all the users? We are going to be making a GET request. We are going to be giving it a specific URL. That's why I love routes. It doesn't really matter whether the URL exists or the file exists. What matters is specify the name of your URL and leave everything to it. Since it's a single page applications, single page applications work just like React, Vue.js, AngularJS. All of them are single page application, SPA. They only have one thing, that when they receive the request, then they render you according to the link or according to the request through your link. So that's it. So when we make a request, it's going to hit on the index.php, then it's going to include these files, all these files. So I'm gonna bring in the users file right now. So I'm gonna copy this and bring it down. So over here we have src routes, not config, I think, yes. Then we now include our users.php. So in our users.php, we are going to be making a request, a GET request to API/users. That's why I love this. I really love this. It makes me happy whenever I see my links more neater and more simplistic. And why I love it is that you can use regular expressions to give it the kind of request that it can receive, and the kind of things that can the kind of attributes or parameters that can only be received from the link. So over here we are making a request to API user. So in our closure here or callback, so we have request. Actually, you don't even need this, but for simplicity's sake, let me write it down. You can sometimes use it if you wish. You have response, then we have, you can give it $response. Yeah, spelled correctly. So let's make sure that our API users is working. So I'm going to write echo API users working. So let's try to visit homepage. Homepage didn't work. Why? Over here, I don't know why it didn't work. So I think I need to clear this and try once more. I don't know why it's not working. I think I need to close this stuff. I'm not using it. Homepage found. Homepage is not working. I don't know why. So I fixed it. It's working. I think the main purpose why it didn't work was that over here I didn't bring in app run. I was thinking it's gonna work just like that. So let me try once more, and let's try API users. So API user is working. So it's good that we have all our requests in one file so that we don't have issues sometimes. And I didn't put a / over here. So that's it. So I'm gonna type down try catch block. So we are going to be catching some errors over here in case we have any error. So we're gonna use the PDO exception. Then over here we're gonna say echo message, gonna say response. So I'm gonna close this. So inside there, yeah, then call the get message method. Yeah. So in case we have any error while we are trying to query from our database, this is going to catch the error and print it out for us. So I'm gonna get rid of that. So above here, I'm gonna say the SQL query is equals to select all from. Remember, we have a users table. So over here, we just need to get a DB. Remember that we have a DB class, so we're gonna instantiate that. So the next thing is to give another variable, then connect to our DB. Remember the connect method I created earlier. So make sure you did that. So over here we have the connect method from the DB class. So that's what we are actually calling here. So when I save this and check, let's see whether if we have an error. So if we have an error, it's going to catch it over here. Let's say, for example, I'm going to change this to, let's say, 8. So let's see what will happen. It's not actually showing anything. Maybe because we are not using the query for now. Maybe when we try to use a query, then we didn't set everything correctly, it's going to give us some errors. So what I'm going to do now is the statement is going to get a PDO query, then the SQL, we query the SQL, then the users, it's gonna be the STMT fetch all. So like I said, it's good that you set your fetch attribute to associative array. Then you can, over here you can set to whatever you want. You can set to PDO, fetch object, or fetch as such once more, but I'm gonna be using fetch object. So let's show this so that you can understand. I'm not gonna use that, so I'm gonna write equal JSON. We're gonna be using JSON encode. So over there I'm gonna be putting the user variable. So this is supposed to be plural. So as you can see, we are having an error, users on line 1. So like I said, that was why we had that try catch, so that can help us to catch our error. So as you can see the message, then we have the response. So let's try to figure it out. Yes, over here we have an error, so that's it. Select all from users once more. So we are having an empty array because over here we have empty values, so we have to insert something now. So let's say Samuel Anthony 1 2 3 4 5 sam@gmail.com. Let's say address Hastane, then city of Lefkosia, and Cyprus. Cyprus is a state, just like your country is a state. Never mind. So we have here John Doe, phone 9999999. Email is johndoe@gmail.com. Let's say Maryland. Never mind. We have the city of Lefkosia. We have the state of Alabama. So these are just for use cases. It's not that these states are conjoined together. So let's refresh once more. So as you can see, we have it working. We can now make a post request over here and we can get those values. So how can we make a post request with the link here on our Postman? So make sure you downloaded Postman like I said earlier. So open up your Postman. So in your Postman, we are going to be making some requests. These are the earlier requests I did. So I think we're gonna clear that. So make a post request. So if everything worked correctly, it should return it for us. I think say localhost API users. Go over to body. I don't know why it's not working over here. No, we don't have any content type. So send again. I don't know why. I don't know why it's giving me an error from Postman, but let's try rest easy. So, oh sorry, it's not a post request, it's a get request. I'm sorry, please. So over here sometimes can forget we are making a get request now, not a post request. So we still have the same values over here on our Postman. So if we still make the same request over here, we are going to get the same values. So that's it. So the next request we are going to be making is called a get request, but we are going to be getting only a single user. So above here, get a single user. So get all users. So what I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna copy everything here. So copying everything, and we have to use the ID. Then for us to get the ID, we can over here we can pass an array of the arguments. but I don't really like working with that, because when we variable dump this, the arguments, we are going to see an associative array of the arguments. So I can clear this and also clear this. So let me just comment this. So let's try that. We are making a get request to users /1. So as you can see, we have the response of the ID we just passed. So let me pass multiple value /1/Sam. It gives us an error because we don't have more of that. So let me clear this. So I don't like working with the assoc array, so I'm just gonna write ID. This has a response of, I think it's request, not response. Get attributes, so the attributes, the ID. So the same thing, just that we are having an attribute. So over here we are going to bring in our DB once more. So in our SQL query, we have select from users where the ID is equal ID. So I think let's select all from user where they have the same ID. Over here, just the same thing. So I think I need to close this statement over here after. So I set this to null and bring it down also here, set it null. So this is gonna be singular now. So let's try to make a request. So let's try send one more. So as you can see, we have Samuel Anthony. Let's try the second one. So we have John Doe. So that's it for getting users. I'm gonna bring this down. So the next request we are going to be making now is the post request. The post request somehow is gonna be hectic, so let's move forward in making that. Make a post request. So we have the ID. So we don't really need the ID actually, so I think we need the first name. We have the request, gets params, because we are sending parameters. Yes, we have the first name param, the last name, the phone, you have the email, have the address, we have the city, we have the state, 337. I think I'm missing one. First name, last name, phone number, email address, state. Let's use that. So we have over here to be the last name, we have here to be the phone, here to be the email, the address, and the city, and the state. So we are going to be making an insert query, not a get query, not a select query. So I'm going to remove that completely. So again, I'll be typing down insert all in caps. Insert into, I don't know why I'm not getting this correctly. Something is wrong. Insert into users. I'm not getting this correctly. Something is wrong. Something is wrong somewhere. Get param, not get params. I don't know where the error is coming from, but I think it just worked now. So insert into users. So we are going to be having some values. So we are going to be sending in first name, last name. We have the phone number, email, address, city, state. Then we have the values. The values we want to send. We have the values as a placeholders. So we have first name, last name, phone number, email, address, city, and state. So we close that. 1 2 3 4 5 6 7. 1 2 3 4 5 6 7. So that's it. So inside our try catch block, so I'm gonna get rid of this. So when we prepare the query, once we execute it, so by me I'm going to type down execute, and execute, we accept some arrays of the first name, last name, the phone, email, address, city, and the state. So when we save this, the next thing is to, yes, everything is correct now. So once this is done, it's going to close the connection back, and over here we're gonna remove this. So it's going to show us a message that this is done. So over here we have a message. Let's use same. The response should be so I think I will get rid of this. The message is user has, let's try this whether it's gonna work. User first name. Oh, it's not gonna work, so I can do, yeah. Sorry. Has been added to the list. So we're gonna try to make a post request. One more last thing I didn't change is, oh, sorry for the noise of the seat. One more last thing I didn't change is this. We didn't change this to post, so don't make the mistake or you're gonna have an errors. And also we're gonna change our link to add users, or add user slash add, anyone, anything you want to call it. So we are making a request to API users add. So that's it. So let's cross check our code. I think everything is fine. So make sure we have get param, get all the params, then bound it and executed it. So let's try to make a request with our postman. So over here I'm going to make a request in the body application JSON. So I already have some things over here. I think I'm going to send it. It says method not allowed because we didn't change the link slash add. Yeah, it says at line 1 we are having an error here again. What error is that? User's last name, phone number, email address 1 2 3 4 5 6 7. 1 2 3 4 5 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So what is the error? So I try to fix it. Over here we're going to take it slowly so that we can find where we did a mistake. So we have email address, city, and state. So we already have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So let's try that once more. I think here is 7, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah. So we have email, we have address, then we have city, then we have the state. So all of them are set. So once we get this, it's going to show us user added, just like you see here. So let's try. So it shows us user has been added. So let's be more specific to know which user was added. So over here I can customize this to say user first name has been just added now. So my postman, I'm going to change this. That was Jack Slim. I'm going to change this to Rose Mary. Sorry for that. So change this to Rose. So user Rose has just been added. So as you can see, it's now working fine, and our post request is working fine. So the next request we are going to be making is put request in order to update user. So once you finish to watch this video, I advise that you try to make your own route with Slim Framework so that you can get used to using this. So we are going to be making a put request, and we are going to name the link to update. So update, we're going to be using the ID actually. So I'm gonna leave all the ones the way they are, just get the ID since there's no much thing we are doing. So I'm going to, from the request, get the param or get the attribute. Yeah, attribute ID, because the attribute ID will be passed through the link. So over here I'm going to change this to update. Never mind, I use Vim, sometimes it bounces. Update users, we're gonna remove all this. So we have to say set first name equals the last name. We have the phone. So I'm just gonna change only that so that we don't waste much time. So I think we don't really need most of this, so only 3 is okay. So, and also here all this wants to phone. So the last thing we are going to pass is the ID. So has just been updated now. So we just made a brief difference here, a change of difference here. So let's try that. So over here we are going to be updating, we are making a put request. We are going to be updating user, let's say user slash update user 1, I think is our link. We have user update, then the ID. So we are going to be updating user 1 to, let's update him to Rose. First of all, let's check what's the name of the user 1 from our SQL database before we update. So over here we have how many users? Yes, we have like 5 users. So let me get rid of this, they're similar. We have 5 users now, 4 users. So the first user is Samuel Anthony. So we are gonna update it to we have Carlo Anthony, so Carlo Mary, something like that. So as you can see, user Carlo has just been updated now. So when we check, so we now have Carlo Mary has been updated and with a new phone number. So that's it for updating request. So the last one is the delete. The delete request, that's the last one. So I'm going to change this to delete. So we're going to be deleting user/delete. We also need the ID. We don't need all this since it's a delete request, so we just have to change this to delete form users where, so where ID is equals to that. Then over here we just need only ID. So we can now say user the ID, user with ID of this has just been deleted now. So that's it. So we close back our connection. So I think we should close it over above here. So let's try to do that. User API users delete. So we are going to be deleting with the last user we just updated from Samuel Anthony to Mary Carlo. So over here we are going to be deleting that. So over here we'll just click on delete. That method is not allowed here because we didn't select a delete method. So it's a delete. So let's send once more. So user with ID 1 has just been deleted. So let's check in our database. So as you can see, there's no more ID 1 and there's no more Carlo Mary. So that's it for PHP CRUD request. So everything still works fine on the browser. So the team really makes something really cool. So I have a video tutorial on how to use Vue.js to also make some requests, but not like CRUD requests. A basic understanding, for you to have a basic understanding of how to use Vue components and Vue.js. You can likewise watch those videos. So I will appreciate you subscribing to my channel and also clicking on the like button. So thank you for watching and see you on the next episode.